So welcome back to another wonderful episode. In this one, I'm going to be redoing my decks, expanding them, making them bigger. Unfortunately, the rear one, I was in a hurry. I was trying to get it done. So I do have a photo slideshow that I'm going to put in with it. Show you here in a minute. And then I'm going to show you my process on building up my new front deck. So I hope you enjoy this and stay tuned. So here's my new rear casting deck, currently installed. My new locker, which will eventually be the rod locker for the new front deck, which I will build with you. This is all hooked up, wired in, ready to go. It's a lot like my final setup is going to be with the aluminum framing. But I wanted to get this built up so I could put in my new fuel tank, which I've upgraded to a 23-gallon. Also with this setup, I got a fuel primer set up. It's kind of elaborate on my rig compared to some of them I've looked up. But I've got two one-way valves in here. I got the pump. I've got the fuel demand valve to keep the pressure from the tank off the system, and then the one-way valves are to keep the fuel from draining back in the line. And then I went ahead and turned the power on. You can see my primer bulb is here. After it comes in off the other side, goes through here. That way I have a backup primer through the fuel filter. Got the safety pressure sensor. And then it goes out to the engine from there. But you can see the nice fuel tank, a lot better than the little 6-gallon tank I had. It is locked down in there. You can see my whole control panel here. I was able to relocate it, a lot easier to get to than the lower, smaller deck I had before. And of course, same live well cooler, I painted it and got it all rigged in here to where it's nice level. And I got a cooler. That way I can keep stuff out on the water. Doesn't matter whether it's warm, cold out. I'll still have drinks, snacks, all right here, all stored away. And I can keep ice in there to keep them cold. And then a wonderful feature here, I got the rod tubes all across the back. 3 on that side, 3 on this side. They're right behind the seat. So that way you can have the rods set up right there for if you have a couple different setups or a couple different people on the boat. Keep the rods there. It's out of the way of the person fishing off the back. easy to get to the net and everything, so just makes that easier. And I probably will be incorporating that into the final deck too. Also here, as you can see, my battery charger for the rear batteries is a lot easier to get to now. I can actually see the indicators, see what's going on. Also put it into repair mode or change modes if I swap out to different style batteries too. These NOCO chargers are awesome. They actually do lead acid, AGM, and lithium. And then they also have a repair mode in case the voltage is too low to do regular charging. So it'll help throw some power at it until it's up enough to charge. But these are really great. I've also got the same thing on the batteries on the trolling motor, which the new deck will allow easier access to that as well. So with the fact that this deck is bigger, I'm going to have to do this in 2 parts. It's hard to see this line, but I have it drawn in pen right here. That is my cutoff line between the 2 sections because it's longer than 48 inches and it's wider than 48 inches as well, so I couldn't put it on one sheet. The second layer, which you saw in the little slideshow, that one will be 48 inches long to help tie these pieces together. So you'll see me cut out another short piece for the front section, and those two will come together on the when they attach to the bottom piece. And I have the top panels cut out. I have all my hatches and panels that I need to keep marked. Not specifically marked on the handles, but just to show which end is the handle. And I have all these marked, so it's easy to place them back in the ones that it'll actually fit correctly in. Here, I'm almost done drawing out the bottom panels. This is actually my 3rd attempt at drawing these panels out. The first time I ended up going all the way to cutting, and I cut this one out where it was more up here instead of in the middle. Along with that one, they both got measured wrong. But I'm working on getting the outside edges drawn out underneath, and otherwise everything else is drawn out, and I'll have this cut out here soon. So here I've now got the bottom section done, and I have them mounted just with the base frame, most of it anyway. As you can see, panels are just cut and placed in. Same as my back deck with how I've set that up. So that way the panels are nice and sturdy on top. And then I've already got that placed for the trolling motor pedal. I'm going to put in plywood along the sides here to fill it in. Other than that, same thing on these. And then I have another panel that'll lay down in here. New update, you can see I've worked on some more of the underneath of the deck. Working on the rear storage hatch, all the space for it. It's going to end up having a plywood panel go over this. That way it helps hold cords in here too. Underneath the trolling motor pedal. And then everything will feed in underneath here. I'm working on some additional braces here, and then the underdeck connection points. Let's see here, I got the wedges complete for the bottom brackets inside the tub of the front deck area. And I'll get these hooked up and then placed and get started on the carpet and wiring. Here I have the front supports all fully assembled. They won't actually get placed until I do the test fit on the boat. That way I can make sure they're in the right spot to actually support load. And then I'll mark them, take it back out, and lock these down into place. Here you can see that's where all my wiring will be, underneath the trolling motor pedal. This cover will just help keep the rods from messing with the wires. This will keep the wires all nice and neat. I have a hole about right here, flipped of course, where I got a couple wires coming in to be able to feed power and so forth, and those will come straight up through there. So I'm doing my test fit. I've got it most of the way down in there. It's not sitting down fully because I don't know that you can, right there, I gotta cut those corners off. It's the same thing on this side as well. And that's keeping it from sliding forward completely, which is also keeping it from dropping all the way. So this is a wonderful test fit. Just to get an idea, this is roughly about how high it's gonna sit. And then here's a rough look at how everything will kind of be sitting. Like I said, I still got to make those adjustments so I can get this sitting correctly back here. I got to do a little bit of trimming on those corners to help it seat in. But otherwise, she is almost good. And I still am working on getting my feet placed, which I'm going to do as soon as I'm able to actually get this all the way down. So I'll get these adjusted as soon as I'm able to, but I'll have a pocket up front like this, and then my battery boxes right here. I've already put a mark roughly showing where I need to sit, or where I need to set up the trays, and I'll have the batteries up here. The charger will be mounted on this right up here, and then I'll have the power switch and the breaker on that side. So I have the deck off now, where I was making some fixes. And I'm currently working on the battery boxes while I'm waiting for a second pair of hands to help me reset this to try and get it fitted. Hopefully I only need one more fitment. But I've got one battery box in so far. I've got to get the other one in. This still has to be screwed down into place, and that'll hold my 2 trolling motor batteries. So I've got the paint on here. I had went ahead and put in my panels, and this one will come out and this one's removable. But I got all my side panels in there to fill in for the carpet. And then I'll start carpet after this is dry. And then we'll get to wiring. I did go ahead and retest fit again. So I'll be putting on my legs under here soon. So I now have the legs secured for the front. Everything's locked down. I'm getting ready to start the wiring. As you saw, I have the bottom painted, or the top painted, to fill in all the gaps where carpet might not fully show through. That's going to end up with an overlap anyway, so it's going to come over, so I'm not too worried about that. I now have most of the wiring done. As you can see, these 2 blocks mostly for the 12-volt power for the lights, and then these blocks right here are for the trolling motor, 24-volt, and that way I can just hook the trolling motor itself right up to here, make it a lot easier to change out. And then this one is for when I upgrade I plan on eventually having a live sight after I get a newer trolling motor, and this way, this is the power coming in from inside the boat for that, and I can just tap off for the live sight and a heading sensor off this block. But looking at the rest of it, there's the light for this compartment. I didn't really go over it. I have these magnetic reed switches for each hatch. They're in the rear deck as well. So every hatch only turns on its own light. So I've got that set up. That way I'm not having to flip a switch to turn on my hatch lights or anything. And then we got the light for the battery compartment. Reed switch for it. I've got where my batteries are going to hook up. And I just don't have the power switch, which is going to go right here. And then the breaker, which is going to go right here. And then this will connect off the breaker. I'll have a wire connect to the switch. And this will go straight into the power. And then here on the other side, these I'm still working on. I have all the reed switch wires and light wires already hooked up, so those are ready to go. The battery charger will be going in right here, right in the middle, so that way it still allows the light to spread, but it's up out the way from where the battery is going to be. And then here I have a light on each side. This is an additional plate for the seat mount. It's going to be on the other side. So that gives it an extra boost for the screws, extra tie-in. And it's not tall enough to block these lights from shining down. This would be the bottom of the storage area. The battery charger is now installed, and I have the wires routed. The power cable I just kind of have clipped to here right now. I will unzip tie that, and it's going to go straight into a hole right about here. So it's zip tied to this point, and it'll go into the hole and plug into the line. But otherwise, I've got my hookups here. The battery gauge I'll have to hook up after it's in the boat, but I have my other side over here. I will be getting the lugs, the rest of them, installed just like so. Connect straight up to the battery and run everything. And here you can see we now have the power cut off. So main cutoff switch, 60 amp breaker for the trolling motor. It's all set up, and off to the side we have terminals done. And how I put these together, instead of crimping, these things are awesome. These are solder slugs, in this case for 6 gauge terminal. And you literally drop this in, hold that in a vise or channel grips, channel locks or something, and heat it up with a torch until it melts, and then shove the wire in, and it'll kind of push the solder out a little bit. But that's the best way. And then heat shrink tubing over top, and that'll keep that nice and secure. I am now getting started on the carpet. I have already gone around. I got to do a little bit of trimming to get those corners to sit right. But I got a lot of the trimming going around. I got the size set up. I'm working on the first hatch. So what I do is I go off of each corner, fill it in, cut it down, and then I'll take the staple gun and I'll tighten it up with one hand, get the carpet nice and tight, then roll this in and tack it in inside this edge right here of the pocket for the door. So that way it's right in the corner, and then I can go back along the edge with the knife, about like this kind of angle, and cut it all right there at the edge. And nice and clean. And then I just got the wood surface right there for the hatch door. Here it is all tacked in all the way around. So this is pre-cut. And here it is post-cut. You can see nice clean lines there. Ready for the hatch to go in. And now I have all the hatch surrounds done. So that is all set to go. I have the foot pedal inlay set to go. Just got to pull this up. It's a little tight. And I can get to my wires real easy. And then I just got to carpet this. We'll work on getting this loaded in here soon to the boat, and then I'll start working on getting my hatches installed. I now have the inside of the front here all ready to go, cleaned out. That one is locked down with all the wires on that side running the way they should. This one I still have out because I got to plug up the battery charger, which is connected to the deck under here. But otherwise, it'll be ready to go, sitting over there, and I'll just screw it into place. I've already widened the hole for the underside going towards the front deck, so that way I can have plenty of room for the rods to come through. So I now have the deck dropped in. Of course, the hatches still have to be done, but here's all the spacing I'll have. It definitely sits a lot higher, more bass boat-ish. It is, unfortunately, it looks like about an inch higher than what I expected. So the front speakers, I'm going to have to figure out some way to cover those holes or re-rig it, or I might have the speakers somehow mounted on the inside and just have screws going through. I'll work on that, but then my tool holder will have to be re-drilled and it'll sit pretty much right on top, but it was really close, so we'll see if it lines up. But these fit perfect, and that'll keep all the rods real close to the deck as well. I still have to put the feet on and the front and side covers here to get it all finished up, and then I'll be able to get the rod locker put in. But that whole bottom space is for the rod tubes, or not even that whole bottom space there, that's for the rod tips to go through. So there's plenty of room, no obstruction. Here I have the front panel on, slips right underneath. There is the opening for the front of that cabinet. So how this will work, you'll have this hatch that'll have two locks on each side, and I'll show you as I build it. And then the hatch will come down on top of this, and the latch for that hatch will be right here. So that way you have to open the lid to open the hatch, because it'll have a lip on the front I'm going to put on there, and that'll help just keep it from pulling open when this is closed as a safety. But you lift that up, and then you push in, and it'll allow it to open up. So I'll be able to open that up and make this make the opening even bigger, make it easier to put stuff in. Now I do want to go over a mess up I made. I had this lined up right when I first set it up. When I wired all this in, I did not wire these correctly. I had the black out here and then the positive on this side. Well, that was when I had this flipped upside down. So when I held the battery up, it was the right way, but if this was upside down. So what I'm doing right now, I've already shortened this ground cable to the connection point to the bus. So I've got that ground already set up. I am extending this wire, and then I got to shorten the red one over there and pull the rest of the yellow wire through. So I'll be extending that out roughly about a foot or so, and then we will be able to have everything hooked up correctly. I now have the batteries hooked up on the right cables. So this side's done. Got that side done. I just gotta mount up those wires, get it cleaned up. I have the rod locker now installed. It is bracketed in. You can see the brackets just holding it in place. And there's another set back here. It's pretty snug. I don't have to worry about it jumping around. I did have to shave off about 1/2 inch off the entire side of this locker. So it took a little bit of work. I ended up making it a little tighter than I had originally planned. But the rod locker is fully locked in there. So it will be all set to go. The side panels here, I'll still have to draw out and cut so I can just get that to size and fill it in. And then I got the hatch panels left to work on. All my wiring is now done. I got to zip tie a few wires into place, but other than that, all the wiring is done. Here's a view of the inside of the locker, where you can see my rod tips going down there. Plenty of room, real easy to get to, and I can store several, and they're out of the way, and I will be able to lock them up. All my wires down here, as you can see, everything's tucked above on this board. So there's nothing in the way of the fishing rods that'll be down here. I do have a couple of my rods already in there, and there's 6 and a 6.5, I think, around a 6 foot, and they still don't hit. So I'll definitely be able to fit my bass rods with no problem. Now I have the carpet on these 4 hatches. I don't have them locked in yet. Still also have to decide exactly where I want my second panel, which will also have the receiver for the reed switch. Just turn the light on and off. Do have this one left. It'll take a little bit of work. I still have a couple adjustments I have to do on the here for this panel. Before I do it, I'll need to align the catch plate with where I want to put the switch or the latch. But as you can see, this has plenty of storage. Actually fit these all the way back there. Or I can actually fit these 3 deep that way. And then stack them. 2, and all the way back we got the 3rd one. So I can put these in here. They can stack up to 3 high with no issues. As long as I set it up that way, and then I can only do 2 high, and then I have a little bit of space here. And then I have this wonderful front hatch right here, folds down, makes it easier to get in here if I need to. I need to make a slight adjustment on these so it's a little easier to push this. The balls here, I'm gonna just put a washer or something underneath each one just to push it out a tad further, and it'll make it a little easier getting that lined up. You can see here it's in just a tad too much, but that'll block up the front. It'll have the latch here for the upper. So as this is my last hatch, I wanted to show you all how I do this. I fold it all over, staple it down all the way around, bring the corners up, and what I do is I take the scissors, and I take the scissors and I'll start way over here, down on the side. Make my way around, and then I can do minor trimming as needed. And bring those pieces pretty much flush. Take my staple gun, do one joiner. That's how I get my corners on my hatches. And here it is, all trimmed up. Now, next, I'll be cutting the hole right in here, and then I'll actually be shaving this all the way flat, all the way around, and that helps the panel get more flush. As you can see, it's not perfect, but it does help it sit in there a lot more snug than it would without getting shaved. Here I now have this hooked up with the latch. I don't have the bases set up yet. I have those painted right now already with a cutout, and I just got to figure out its best placement. And I'll get those hooked up after they dry. But I do have the latch here. I have one more thing I have to put on the door panel itself other than the panel and the gas strut, and that's going to be a piece of aluminum angle that I'm going to put across the front here. And when this is closed down, it'll cover over the front, and that'll keep the front from being able to be popped open. Here you can see the latch catch that I set up. Pretty much dug out some of the wood right behind it, so that way it was flush with the bracket, and that way when the panel closes, it latches. Now, I didn't get these on the rear deck, but I have a bunch of new ones that are locking that I'm going to be swapping out the rear deck ones with. That way, less likely to have any issues if I do end up having to stay overnight somewhere or something. Just as a deterrent. It won't be impenetrable, but it's at least locking, keep people out. As you can see, I have my backer board placed, and I've installed these. This was my last part. This is the magnet for the reed switch. Mine is right there, so that brings it to right where it can shut it off. There, next to it. And this finishes out the front deck build. And I've got new complete decks with plenty of storage, front and back now. Of course, like I said, access to the batteries up front for the trolling motors, You can get back to the ones at the back really easy as well. As you can see, they're right back there, one on each side. Plenty of storage, like I said, in each of those, plus the cooler here. Storage there. Got the 2 storage blocks up front and in the middle now. I got everything back together. We just got to get her cleaned up. And she's ready for the water. Sorry this took so long to get out. I had a lot going on, so it's taken almost 6 months, or about 6 months, to get this thing done with the new decks, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. If you aren't a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. That helps my channel as well. And I will see you in the next upgrade.